Hello. How you doing? You good? Good. Okay. Little update. Turns out I'm unexpectedly having to fire up the engines on this channel much sooner than I was ready to. And with that comes Patreon. I'm nowhere near ready to launch it, but I don't really have much of a choice. I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart thank you to everybody that has given me support for these past few months. And even more so for the past 4 or so years. Everybody that I've been able to have the privilege to work with, to call my friend, and to really just see the drive and desire and passion behind people's eyes for this hobby. Those internal and those out of Games Workshop, all those people that have given me this support and given me this love, I can't thank you enough. I hope you all enjoy this video. It's been a frustrating, yet cathartic labour of love. I'm just trying to be more creatively truthful with myself and the sort of work that I want to make. I like A24, can you tell?
And now for something completely different.
back in like primary school, I seem to remember making a frog. I should have added a frog to this. Started off by making the logs for the campfire and just having the little details being put in. It was immensely satisfying adding the tree rings into there. I've realised as well that I've not really explained about how I'm doing this video because it's quite different to any other video I've done so far. I'm just gonna let a lot of the visuals do the talking. Just let people have a nice chill time. It's not a good time right now in general for anybody, I don't think. With all the content out there that's really quick and just constantly needing to grasp your attention, I just wanted to make something for everybody to just have a little cozy time to, you know? Apart from the previous part, but that part of the edit I just wanted to do for fun, to be honest. Felt right. Didn't really have much to say about it, and I just think it gets the message across quite well. I've decided to make this cast iron pan. I used the bottom of a Army Painter bottle and I just squished it down to make it kind of look somewhat like a cast iron pan. Had some little other bits of detail that I added into it to make it a bit more rough. I would assume that it would be... I mean, cast iron pans are rough anyway. This one I want to really kind of show how battered it is and used. I did originally plan to just buy a lot of the bits, like the campfire. Then I thought, if I'm going to do this, I might as well do it myself. I wanted to go a little bit away from just like your standard. I wanted to make sure I avoided adding any fly agaric into this, because damn, they're overdone. A huge fan of inky caps. I've been very, very lucky to have just randomly found one once, and yeah, there's a good reason why they're called that. I've made for this a little inky cap, a earth ball, which not many people, I think, seem to really know about them. And then this little guy. It's not really a mushroom, it's a mushroom sack. If you've ever seen Devil's Singers, like, go Google Devil's Singers. If you've ever seen Devil's Fingers, you'll know that they, like, come out of a sack. And they just look cool as hell. Literally. Ha! I really, really enjoyed doing the logs and the mushrooms. There was something about making them and seeing them transform in my hand that just made it really satisfying. It was actually so much fun making these. I could just continue doing this. I'm sure logs and mushrooms will get boring at some point, but right now, I feel like I could just do a whole forest. And funnily enough, I do have a little tiny plan. It's not a forest, but it is a swamp. I sure do like my water settings. Like, water and snow get me there. Get me in the water, in the snow. Fantastic. Love them. Great. The whole process from start to finish of actually sculpting the mushrooms is really cool. I am the sort of person that just go document a mushroom. I've even got an app on my phone. I've actually paid for that. Fully paid for that. I love mushrooms, even the ones that'll turn your skin into paper mache. But, you know, with the app, at least I don't have to worry. I can just trust that the database is correct, and it can identify that this small button mushroom that looks exactly like this other small button mushroom is absolutely the one that's gonna be tasty, and not the one that's gonna make me vomit me internal organs. I'm actually quite proud of how well the stove and the pan have gone together. Look at it. It's nice. It's got room. It's got balance, which is good. Looks like it's got some good flipping to it. Look at this absolute freak of an egg at the moment. Does that not look incredible? Oh, I've got 2 yolks there. It must have fallen off later then. I mean, I do stick it down into the pan, but maybe that's when it falls off. Last thing I need to do is the little flames for the fire. I do want 3. I think 3 has always been what's in my mind. These were incredibly difficult to see the vision of until they were fully painted, I think, for me personally. I don't know, I just couldn't see it. Even in the later hours of it, I still was struggling. It looks quite nice here, to be fair. Like, these little bits look nice. That looks a little bit like a Cornish pasty, though. I know I keep banging on about transformation, but it is really nice to see my idea come into life. I really do need to get into sculpting more. Weirdly, I completely forgot that I used to do like little bits of claymation every now and again, but we're talking like 16 odd years ago. It was literally just all hand sculpted. There was no tools, there was nothing, and it was just cheap plasticine. I think I did quite well with these. Sticking it down was a nightmare as well because I didn't let it dry first. I should have let them dry first and then glued them. That was my own fault really, but I'm gonna make mistakes. Like everybody makes mistakes, so I'm not too fussed, but it's good to know for the future. One of the biggest problems was that maybe my clay was a bit too dry in some parts. I just need to learn my materials as well. I wanted to experiment a little bit here as well with these flames. I wanted to just see what textures I could get if I just like crimped it with tweezers. I think that's the right word to use. I used Das modelling clay for this. It was like £3.50 for 500 grams, which ain't bad. But I did go to another shop afterwards and saw it for almost as cheap for a kilogram. So that was a bit annoying, but it's modelling clay. It works. I don't really have any sort of basis to review it on other than this project, and yeah, it's fine. Maybe I'll be able to review more clays later, see how it goes. Okay, everything's formed, everything's dried. Sprayed some with some grey. No, it wasn't grey here, it was Colourforge's Ghoul Grey. Now just chucking over this bold titanium white, which I've been told is the whitest white. So I think this is going to go great for this project. I will say it was weird painting the clay. I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I should have considered that it wouldn't take to the paint as well as plastic does. And then moved on to the fucking great bit, colouring these things in. The morsel, I decided to give it quite a fantastical look and went for a red and blue, which I later added a bit of green into, which we'll come back to. This is not a linear painting video by any means. The Earth Ball I feel like is just alien anyway. The Earth Ball is just crazy, so I wanted to give it a nice green glow from the inside, so I used Striking Scorpion's green and Tesseract glow, and then covered it in, I want to say that's Drucci Violet, but I don't quite remember. Yeah, I'm leaving that entire bit in. After I'd laid down the two coats, I very quickly dry brushed and then just brought the highlight of the green back up over the purple. And now onto my favourite mushroom. This already, just with the yellow it looked nice. And then sticking that red on. I don't know, it gives me kind of traffic light vibes at the moment, but that even still looks nice. I don't know what it is. There's quite a nice contrast there. I need to talk about something. I had a lot of footage go missing. I'm getting kind of annoyed at that. I use the Blackmagic camera app with a dedicated SSD. I don't know what's happening with it. For some reason there's footage missing. So I think I need to find a better solution than that. Yeah, that's that. But that's why there's footage missing, and that's why you see such a leap and change. So let's talk for a second about this mushroom. After putting the yellow and the red on, I then put a wash of orange over the yellow to darken it a little bit, and then I had a wash all around the side. And underneath, I mixed two blues together. It was Teclis Blue and a contrast. And I think the stem came out really, really nice. This mushroom, I didn't really go that far from the original colour until later on. The pink is actually how it's meant to look in real life. It's a really, really nice pink as well. Every paint company has a lovely pink. I don't think there's a single one that doesn't have nice pinks. I did want to have the same kind of stem as the previous mushroom. I did also do these little red stripes. I decided halfway through that I just kind of wanted to change it up a bit to end up having these little red bits. And I ended up making that as like a little bit of a shade to, I don't know, maybe to say that the mushroom originally was red, but has been sort of corrupted by whatever magic there is in the soil. And believe it or not, painting the shell of the devil's fingers was, well, really fucking easy. I knew from the get-go what I wanted my campfire to look like, and it really wasn't anything special in terms of fantasy. Admittedly, I have kind of gone with a bit more of a cartoony base coat. It's quite bright and vibrant. You know that content where it's just that dude dripping bits into recesses? Yeah, I like that content. It's nice stuff. Seeing this come together, even when I was painting it, I was thinking to myself, this is so cool, because these logs now starting to resemble logs. I've never quite believed that I could do something like this. I know that sounds really like cliche and dumb, but I really didn't. I didn't think I'd be able to shape something into anything like this. I thought that it would be completely out my realm of possibility, simply because I'm not that good with my hands. I'm not a physical crafter, I'm a digital one. When I was laying down this red, I couldn't really believe that I'd be able to blend it very well. It's so bright. The white base coat has done so much heavy lifting for these contrasts and speed paints. I wanted to try and actually wet blend this as well, especially with the orange. I wanted that to really build quite nicely into the reds that I've already done. Bits on the logs that I had painted white, I wanted to add a bit more of the orange just to kind of give it a bit more glow. I have quite a lot of fun painting fire. I like building up the layers and just wanted to add some really like white hot bits and then dry brush some black onto the top just to give it that little bit more like realism. Maybe I went a little bit too heavy-handed with the dry brushing, but I'm not too sure. I dabbed bits of red paint onto the coals rather haphazardly with a brush before moving to a beauty blender, which was loaded up with black to darken the coals, just leaving like a little bit of red poking through them just to show the heat from them. I'm really happy with the outcome of this paint job. I think it looks great, and this is even before the texture went down. And then I added some grimdark shadow. I also added this little rock that I thought the Rascal could use to place his utensils down onto, if Rascals use utensils anyway. The other Rascals have tools, so I'm going to assume they'll have like little spatulas and stuff. Maybe, maybe not. You know, I don't know. Are these dudes heat resistant? They might be heat resistant. I did the same technique for the stove here as well. Exactly the same. I didn't really change anything for it. I did cover them both in that technical paint, the cracking one. I've done it in like most videos and I don't remember the name of it. That stuff's wonderful. I think a lot of Games Workshop's texture paints are quite nice. I will say I've never really been much of a fan of Citadel's texture tool. Don't know what it is, maybe I just use it wrong, but it always feels, I don't know, just incorrect somehow. Do you want to know what time it is? It's 23 minutes past egg. Still ruined it, didn't I? It was meant to be a double yoker, but the second yoke fell off and it just never went back on. So, yeah, I just kept it as one in the end. At first I was a little bit skeptical about, well, all of it really, but as I was painting it and as I was seeing everything come along, I started to see the vision was in front of me. This egg, this fried egg, it had little crispy sides. You know, when eggs get to that point, they're done and they've just got that little bit of crisp around the edges. They're nice. I feel like it's like a right greasy spoon kind of egg. I don't know why, but I wanted to add some little purple bits into it. I guess just to give it a bit more of a fantasy vibe. And as soon as the hard coat dried, that was it. It just... Mwah! 10 out of 10. Great egg. Would eat myself. Would be amazing on some seeded bread with avocado and lemon juice and bagel seasoning and then the fried egg on top. That'd be banging. On to the first actual miniature. This is Old Man Shroom. It's a resin mini from Bad Squiddo, sculpted by Al Maguire. He was actually the first independent miniature I got, I think. Oh no, it wasn't that. I'm fibbing. I'm absolutely fibbing. I was gifted a Andrew May Miniatures miniature when he was doing his forest folk horror stuff. I got one of those, so that's cool. Definitely going to do a video on that. I could have even put him in there. I've got another big scene planned, so I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, back to this. He was really difficult to paint for me, and it's one of the smallest miniatures I've ever painted. The paint job is quite blotchy. It's not looking fantastic. It's got bits that are missed, and some bits were just really hard to deal with, especially because I'm using old Citadel brushes that have been used for painting videos. There'd be times where they'd put like boxes of stuff out and we once had a massive clear out and I just got all my shit then. Old Man Shroom is basically just a grumpy old man who likes to be in his little dingly den. And he likes his peace and quiet, and I can imagine him just looking out and the lads have rolled up outside his little tree house or bone house or whatever house tent he lives in. Maybe a cave. The lads are there. They've rolled up with a disposable Barbie and they just stuck a load of horrible stuff on it and making a lot of noise, you know. And he's just there, just a little guy, just likes his peace, likes to be in the forest. Probably would absolutely love Brian Eno. Music for airports. Every day. God, I hope I got that album name right. Bad Squiddo miniature of this video. This is Turkey Man. If you know Bad Squiddo, you know Turkey Man. You've probably seen the scenic shots that Annie has done of it. There is just something so cursed about it. Look at him. I love him. You know what? The more I've been staring at this miniature, don't tell me this ain't Peachy mixed with Freddy Krueger right here. I'm sorry, I love you, Peach. To paint him, I actually used a specific tutorial. It was a Games Workshop one that I worked on for Thanksgiving, but it wasn't actually a Thanksgiving video, but it was a Thanksgiving video, but it absolutely wasn't a Thanksgiving video, so don't say it's a Thanksgiving video. But there is turkey, and it was released on Thanksgiving, and this is for provisionally prepared, the little like rattlings. I think it was a limited run thing. In the video, like, Dan paints a roast chicken that I wanted to mimic for the look. And it was quite nice because every layer was pretty much just an all-over wash, so I didn't really have to worry too much about any of the finer details. I just wanted him to look roasted. The lore here is, well, just an accidental cooking. Like, he got snuck up on by the night, knocked out, and dragged back. And just waking up partially roasted, and, you know, probably quite blind too. But he was a fun one to do. I do kind of think I went a bit far with the dry brushing on Turkey Man. I used Dawn Yellow, I think it was. Is it Dawn Yellow? I'm sure that's what it's called. Definitely over dry brush. This is my problem. I'm not very good with subtlety when it comes to details. If I went back, I would have dry brushed it a different way. Maybe I could have put a layer of grimdark shadow over it. I don't know. Maybe. But then it might have just come out even worse. With me, when I'm painting, I might have a general colour scheme, but it'll change piece by piece. I'll have a couple of days from it and come back to it and be like, why have I done that? Why didn't I do it this colour instead? I've got an ideas folder, and there's so many in it, and I think if I ever had an army, the whole thing would just be absolutely a mess. I don't think there'd be much cohesion. I can only assume in Turkey Man lore he is not the brightest, so thinks that the fried egg is for him, rather than to go with him. I feel like it wouldn't be that hard to capture Turkey Man at night. Cryptids are most likely not getting their eyes checked, let's be real. But that is also a choice from the night there. Like, even when I was eating meat, turkey sucks. Now it's time for the Rascal. Designed by Rogue Hobbies. I know obviously Louise does the drawing, and I think it's Tom that does all the sculpting and stuff, but I'm not sure. Maybe there's more. Either way, all lovely people. This was such a change for me, because I'd never done anything really this big. It was a very, very interesting project to tackle, and just this miniature in general, because I felt so overwhelmed with the amount of detail that was on it. I just didn't really know where I was going to take it and the colours that I wanted to use. I know I've said throughout that I find it difficult to stick to a scheme. I feel like this was okay. I guess it's also because I already like most of the default schemes that Louise has done, so I've kind of just altered that a bit, but for the most part I did actually have a reference photo up from the website. I just needed to see where to put the colours. I wanted to make sure that it was nice and bright whilst also keeping some darker tones in there. I wanted to give all the spikes and just like the sticky out metal bits a bit of a green tint to them. This isn't how I want the main parts of the metal to be, but you'll see that later. Watching this back, I've definitely muddled up the order of things. I really should have done the skin first. I think I just painted what I wanted to paint first. I think that's hindered me quite a lot because I've been tidier in places where I should have been messier, and messier in places where I should have been tidier. I start with a darker tone here and then I move out towards a lighter pink. This is one of the Citadel contrast paints. I wish I could remember the name of it. But it's pretty fun to work with, to be honest. I quite like contrast and speed paints. They're just a good tool to have. Thinning is pretty simple, but yeah, it's just the convenience of contrast, I suppose. There is also acrylic in this. A lot of it was quite scary to do as well, to be honest. Given that it's a rather detailed packed, pre-assembled miniature. I'm not quite confident yet. I still feel like I like to have the option to sub-assembly. As much as I hate building, having pre-assembled miniatures that are this detailed, I'm not really quite at the stage where I'm that comfortable with doing a full miniature like this. This is something I wouldn't mind coming back to redo at some point, just to sort of see where I progressed. This detail's like the little green dude. I would have benefited much more if I could have taken him off. Which I guess I could have done. I could have just cut it, I suppose, and then just restuck it. It's just another part of learning, isn't it, really? I know you can't sub-assemble for all your life, because you gotta move on at some point. So I guess, even though it's an earlier point than I'd want to do, I think I could get used to it. There are still some details that I'm very much like, well, what's point? Like, I don't care about doing underneath the skirt there. Like, no one's ever gonna see it. I know there's some people out there that's going to be right pissed at that, and that's alright. I can appreciate why you would be. I do think if there's one thing I could change about it, it would be that little guy just comes separate and you can just like stick him down. Because looking at this, I didn't do a great job, like, at all with this dude. That bag was so much fun to do. So it was one of the off-white acrylics that Games Workshop sell that I then put over with some snakebite leather, and that's what you're seeing going down on the like cloth strap things around its legs. Really, really happy with how it's come out as well. Like, just seeing the pink over the purple is already making it look a lot better. There's a lot of things that I look at this and I'm really, really proud of. There's some very obvious glaring errors throughout the entire project. I think I've done a good job with the Rascal. Maybe I could have taken a bit more time and just slowed it down even more to what I was doing, but I got to a point when painting it where I was like, is this done? For the armour, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with it, so I ended up just doing a wash of blue contrast over it. I think it was Pilar Glacier? Is that what it's called? I think he's a chill little guy. He's cozy, you know? I don't feel like there's anything in there that's really too bad. I actually am quite proud of myself for this entire project, to be honest. I'm not somebody that's typically good with their hands in regards to like crafting. I've got very like sausage fingers, so this whole thing has kind of always been against me being miniatures, but I definitely just want to try and make it so that I can just get to this point where, and I just want to get to this point where I can sort of consider my own stuff as, you know, decently painted. Just not even excellent. Like I'm not aiming to be Golden Demon or anything like that. I just want to be able to paint. Like, I think it's cool. I think it's a cool hobby, and I think doing this diorama's really shown that for me. And at the last minute, I kind of had this idea of making him little, like, speckly, like a gecko. I don't know why. He does give me kind of like lizard vibes, I suppose. I think it just took the piece to the next level by having these little dots all over its body. And I feel like that brought the last part of this diorama to a close. It's all here, every piece, all finished, all ready to be put together. Well, apart from the fact that I need to cut the foam a little bit more. And it still has this bit of a gap, but I'm going to be covering it, so I'm not too fussed. As long as it sticks, that's all I care about. This hot glue gun I found in the recycling shed at my place, and it can be a little gold mine for like hobby products and stuff. I'm going to have to talk about the elephant in the room here, aren't I? Yes, that is the part of a skull. It's some mammal. I don't know. We have a lot of badgers and foxes around here, so I imagine one of them. It was just sort of out there in the mud, and we have a lot of like little bone piles around. I also didn't want to change anything. I just wanted the animal to be the animal. Yeah, I'm not somebody that wants to make changes to the actual part of nature, you know? Unless it's rocks, then yeah, I'll paint rocks. Why not? Even if they are actual rocks. I've always had in my head a campfire and a tent. You know, it was just going to be Old Man Shroom and a rascal. I wasn't sure which rascal to have yet. I wanted to make it as a little house for Old Man Shroom, and I made sure there was a mushroom growing right through the eye socket. I thought that'd be nice. I feel like that's something that Old Man Shroom would like in his little den. But seeing everything together now, it's starting to feel complete. Even back then, I remember thinking whilst filming it, like it's finally getting there. We're finally starting to see an actual story, an actual scene, a vision, you know, whatever you want to call it. Fully worked out the placement of everything, which was then where I realised that the fire pits need the cork like cutting off. I don't know why I thought I could just leave it as just a whole thing, but trimming it made it fit better. I don't really feel like it had the same effect with the pan and the egg. Like, I don't feel like that one looks as good after I trimmed it. I don't think it made much of a difference, but I feel like you'd put down something underneath that anyway to have like the hot coals, but I don't know anything about this stuff. There is a bit of detail in the foam that I want to point out as well. You might see there was these little puncture holes in it. Our cat unfortunately passed away a couple of months ago. His name was Psycho. He was a three-legged piece of shit. Absolutely hated him. He hated everybody, but then, you know, he had a right to hate everybody. He had a bad upbringing until he got rescued by my partner. And yeah, he unfortunately passed, but he loved chewing on anything foam. Absolutely anything foam. You'd wake up at 2 a.m. and you'd be listening. You're like, what the fuck is that noise? Because something's woke you up and you feel like there's a burglar from The Sims trying to crawl around your room. But actually, no. It's just him with like a fucking swimming, you know, there's like swimming, what's the swimming foam things called? The ones that you play with as a kid and stuff. And he'd be like fully, absolutely stuck. Like, his mouth would be stuck on this shit. If there was any sort of foam in a room, he'd sniff that out, and he'd be in it. He'd be chewing the shit out of it because it's a good feeling, apparently. I miss that cat, man. Leaving those bites in there felt right. It feels like it's something that I've turned into a bit more purpose, you know? It's not just like, oh, the cat bit this. But it's something that, yeah, the cat bit, but also I'm now gonna always keep it, I hope. Just as a little reminder that he was once here. Sorry, that got a bit sad. Seeing it all come together as well was just something quite magical, really. It was something that I didn't think I'd be able to pull off. Really did not think. Granted, what I will say is gamer grass and citadel grass, that's some good grass. I'm happy with the diorama without any grass on it, but to see it with the grass on gives different bits of texture, and I tell you what, they're an absolute nightmare to try and put down. I never thought they'd be that difficult to put down, but those things keep just flipping like a Mexican jumping bean. Once the grass was down, the scene was set, the diorama finished.